All right, let's talk about running a musket in 2025. Trash. This is the Palmetto State Armory. I don't know what model they call it, but it's an M16A4 essentially. This is the model with the FN barrel. I got this 6 years ago for 500 bucks at a pawn shop, and I love this rifle. I really do. I really like shooting it. I've been offered $1,000 for it before, and I said no, but I probably should have said yes. I really should have said yes. But, you know, it's a cool gun to shoot. And also, this rifle is made through many classes. I first got this rifle to, just use as a gun for teaching stuff. It was nice because I could demonstrate certain concepts with a longer rifle and just show like how you can make it work. Then it became a rental gun, and lots of students have used this rifle and it's never had any real issues. Now I have another rental gun I got from PSA that I did have issues with. So I'm not like here to be like, it's just as good or, anything crazy. I'm saying this rifle is done very well. All right. Now, I like shooting it. I think it's fun to shoot. I've pushed it out 400 yards. I haven't had any attempts beyond that. But basically, any target that I can see at the 400 yards, I can hit with this rifle. I've set it up with, used it mostly with iron sights in the beginning. Then different red dots. I've also done an El Cheapo 1-to-4 power primary arm scope, and I was experimenting with it to see like, hey, does this work as like a Pores SPR? And it did. It actually worked pretty well as that, and I liked it. I might set it up like that again. The current configuration I have it in, where we have a red dot mounted on top of a carry handle, I think is like the sweetest setup because it gives me that height over bore that I enjoy, like with a Unity mount, or when I had one of my other rifles set up like the Car 15 from Black Hawk Down. It's like very soft recoiling, very smooth cycling. And then also the red dot is in that perfect position for me as a full grown 6'2" adult male. So I like shooting this gun a lot. Now let's think about, is this a gun you should buy that you should fight with? So the first question would be, it's a Palmetto State Armory. Are you going to bet your life on it? Well, I'll say I have seen much more expensive guns run way shittier, okay? Like some brands that people say are the top tier, that like one that was $2,500 at least, and I had to fix it with my AK mag because the BCG was out of spec, and I had to hammer that bitch open, okay? So I will say that even if you think you're buying the best thing, that doesn't mean everything. Like, take it through a class, put some mileage on it to test it, see if it's actually working properly. And then another thing I would say is you should buy a Palmetto State Armory bolt carrier group and use that as your training and your practice bolt. Like, put like 1,000 to 2,000 rounds through your rifle to make sure everything's working properly. Then get a separate BCG that you change out when you go to the range. And so that, when you get home, you've got a good BCG in that gun that doesn't have a bunch of mileage on it, that's not going to break on you when you need it to work. Okay, so even if you buy the nicest thing, I would do that. And I would test it, make sure it's actually working, right? Because, hey, the best brands even will make mistakes. Like, human error is a thing at every level. Now, as far as the size goes, that's a different story. And I gotta be real. I was excited about this gun because back when I got it, there were several videos about M16A4s that were really popular that some of you may have watched. And hey, go watch those because they're, very entertaining, very cool. And I'll be honest, it got me excited about it. And so when I saw it at the pawn shop, I was like, all right, and I got it. But was it really the right rifle to buy? No, not necessarily. I don't think so. It's a fun gun. It's a cool gun. Yes, you could definitely fight with it for sure. Like they say in all those videos, dudes have been doing it since Vietnam, fighting with full-length rifles. But practically speaking, it is not the best gun to run. So one thing to think about is, can my kid shoot this rifle? Can my wife shoot this rifle? They can, but is it going to be as easy for them to run this gun as it would be for them to run, my main squeeze right here with a 12 5-inch barrel, or this super lightweight Iron Pig Armament rifle with a 10.5-inch barrel? Like, obviously, this one's going to be a lot easier. In fact, this is the rifle I have my daughter shoot all the time. And, if they had to, especially like fight for their life in a home defense or without rule of law situation or something, I'd want them to have a rifle that they can use a lot easier. So does it make sense for you to have guns that are toys for you? Yeah, you can have fun guns, that, all right. But like, if you're trying to actually prepare your family, and that's what's really this is all about, protecting the future for our children, then I would definitely consider that before you go and buy something like this. Like, how well are you guys set up? And it's not just about the gun too. Think about your preps. Do you have night vision? Like, there's a lot of different things that we could consider. Generators, before we go and buy the cool gun. Because honestly, I probably shouldn't have bought this one. But, making sure that my kids and my wife can use it effectively, that's very important. But also, when it comes to just carrying around a gun, a lighter gun is a lot nicer. So this rifle I'll have on me all day. And this rifle, it's just like 1.5 or 2 pounds heavier. There's a noticeable difference at the end of the day if I'm using this rifle versus the other one. And there's also a noticeable difference if I'm carrying around this rifle, just simply because it's heavier. Another consideration is the barrel length, okay? The barrel length is awesome on this gun because it gives you a full-length rifle gas system, which makes it cycle very soft, very smoothly, and the barrel length gives me more muzzle velocity with that full 20-inch barrel, which makes my rounds more deadly, makes my bullets more likely to have lethality on the bad guy I'm shooting. That is awesome. Now, of course, people will think about CQB. Yeah, a shorter gun is easier to use than CQB, but also that's why I got this rifle, was to demonstrate how to work that rifle in tighter areas and stuff like that. But specifically for shooting on the move, a longer rifle is worse. And the reason is that when you have this full-length barrel, the weight is shifted forward, okay? So if you think about it, the center of the balance on this gun is further out because we have more mass extending a lot more forward. Whereas like this rifle that I use all the time, it's a lot better balance. It's easier to drive from target to target. And when you're shooting on the move and actually fucking moving, because if you're just walking super slow, that's not real movement. That's static movement, what I call it. But if you're like actually moving and you have a long rifle, it'll do a lot more of this than when that weight is shifted back more. So that is another issue with running one of these full-length 20-inch barrels. That being said, man, it is a cool gun. They're great to shoot if you want to use this in class, sign for a class, and then just ask me to bring it and bring your own ammo. Brass case, factory, new ammo, no fucking reloads or remans. And you can shoot this rifle. It's also been a rifle that I will use in class where, one of my rules is like, You don't know that you're going to have your special gun in your gunfight. So this would be a rifle that I hand to students fairly often. And so I get value in that way from this rifle, that I can hand it to a student now that they're forced to just try something that they're not used to, that's not suited well to them, and they have to make it work. I find value in it in that way, but I wouldn't necessarily suggest that people go out and get this for like their primary gun. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Keep fighting communism. Kill all pedophiles. Sign up for the Combat Art Summit September 27th and 28th. And remember that training saves lives.